Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. Today we have back with us Sean Pahut, who is a financial consultant with Montana Wealth Management. And today we're discussing the fact of working with a financial broker versus a financial planning advisor. Sean, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me again, Mike. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. And I know that when people start thinking about retirement, there's a lot of choices they have. And, when should I start planning and all of the things? And then who should I work with? And is the person I'm working with the best person for me? And do I need a second opinion? But there really does fall into the idea of that working with a broker or a holistic fiduciary advisor. And that I'm really excited to talk about these because I feel that people are confused and don't really fully understand what both of these are. So get us started with what this contrast is.
Sure. No, that's a great question. And I think when you're talking about that, a couple things come to mind is number one, being a fiduciary as a financial advisor, or registered investment advisor as I am, we're very much similar in the fact that, we can provide advice and things like that. But one of the biggest reasons we found, especially going forward, is how we're compensated. And I know one of the reasons that I wanted to make sure I was a fiduciary and work as an advisor is, number one, I wanted to personally take away any potential conflicts of interest. And not that there's anything wrong with charging commissions or anything like that at all. A lot of people still do it and it's fine, but I wanted my clients to know that, okay, whether we're doing one trade a month, whether it's a stock or a mutual fund or 10, that, we were doing it and acting always in their best interests. And so one of the main differences is how we're paid. We're compensated mainly, when we give advice and coming up with these financial plans, and we just get paid a percentage of assets under management. And so, the way we get a raise is if our clients make money, and therefore, we get a little bit of a raise. So if, let's say, we're working with a client and we're charging, let's say 1% advisory fee, if we make $1,000 for them, so let's say they start with $100,000 and it goes to $101,000, over that base fee we're getting, they made $1,000 and we got a $10 raise because it's percentage based. So the only way that we're going to do better as financial advisors is if our clients do better and make more money. And so they know that if they look at their statement and we've done one trade or we've done 10 trades, that we're doing it always in their best interest because we're not compensated on commission. And it just, I think that kind of sets people at ease, knowing that, we're kind of sitting on the same side as they are. And I also like the fact that, the way we work with our clients is we're trying to offer holistic guidance in every aspect of their lives, right? Financial planning, investment, tax management, where we can, work with their CPAs or bookkeepers. And, they might say, well, hey, Sean, this is where they're at. Can you maybe look at some long-term capital gains and maybe hold it for a little bit? And it's definitely something that, we can work on, with our team and say, hey, this is a concern, that their CPA or bookkeeper has. And then also, we're working with attorneys now on their estate planning. Some of our clients have just completed a trust. So we're working hand in hand with that client and their estate planning attorneys to make sure that if we have to change the ownership or we have to update beneficiaries, we can do that. So, that's a great example on all aspects. We help clients construct investment portfolios based on their goals, time horizon, risk tolerance, and knowing that as a fiduciary, we have to act in their best interest. We have that goal. We have that, I don't want to say, overall thinking in mind, but it's a little different because, if all you care about is suitability, which is fine. Meaning if I'm going to recommend an investment to you today, it's got to be suitable to your investment objective and suitable for what you're looking at. But then going forward, that if we never talk again, Mike, that's okay, because at the time I recommended it was suitable. Where as a fiduciary, we have to provide that ongoing advice. We have to provide that ongoing service because of the way we're compensated. So we really have a higher level of service that we have to provide the client. And I think that's a great thing, because the client, it gives the client a better experience. It gives them, especially in these volatile times, when we sit down with our clients or even just talk to them on the phone and say, look, we're still okay. The financial plan that we came up with, we're still in the parameters. We can review it with them. And so I think clients, at least that I've found, clients that have a financial plan, while, during these times of volatility, it's still a little nerve-wracking for sure, but they do feel better because they know that they might not know why we're putting money, in, let's say, large cap, small cap, XYZ, fund, but they understand the theory and why we're doing it because of the financial plan that we came up with. So it's a little bit more involved, but our clients, I think, really respect it more, and they're more involved. And, when they're invested in it as well, because, some people have asked me, well, do you charge financial plan? We do. But the reason we do is because I remember early on in my career when I was doing financial planning, we would do it as part of just the, the overall package of working with us. Unfortunately, what I found was there really was very little ownership from the client's perspective. That, okay, well, here's the financial plan. We need to talk to a lawyer. There really wasn't a whole lot of follow through. But what I found was if they were willing to invest themselves, then they were going to make sure it got done. And it did. And obviously, when you go through this, if you don't follow through and finish it, it's not really worth anything if nothing happens. And so that's why we do that. And we've really found that the clients appreciate it. They take more ownership, which just makes a better experience for everybody.
100%. I've heard it said that when people pay, they pay attention. And I think that, free advice is just that. That's the value. It's free. And there's nothing wrong with free advice, but I think you're going to get a little bit, when you watch Shark Tank and you hear people go, Kevin O'Leary says, well, I don't even get out of bed for less than 10% of the company. You want their full attention.
Absolutely. This is very important stuff. And I think, as I said before, when you do a plan, it really allows us to bring out those other concerns where, we have conversations almost on a daily basis where we'll say to them, okay, have you talked with an estate planning attorney? And kind of yes or no. Well, I've never have done it. Well, here's why you should talk to one. And, do you work with a CPA? Because we've had clients, that have never, they've done their own books and they really haven't thought about estate planning and potentially, what could be out there, and allowing us to bring them in and if they already have them, get those introductions and say, hey, we're now part of the team. We want to work together for the client's best interest, because, if you can have those legs of the stool, so to speak, and have the experts in each area, it's just we're all working together to make sure the client is taken care of. And they appreciate that as well, because some people have, are generational with their attorneys. Hey, my parents work with this attorney or this CPA. And anytime we can all get on the same page and we trust each other's expertise, we can really take care of the client. And it's a great experience, long-term for the client as well.
Let's get back to that broker versus planner contrast. Tie in a little bit more on the fiduciary aspect, because you said, well, we must act on the best interest of our clients. Talk a little bit about what happens if someone doesn't act on the best interest of that client.
Well, again, it's to be a fiduciary, you it's in the law. And so, there's recourse that these clients can have, right? Is if we do not act in the best interest, and we're supposed to act in the best interest, obviously there's, things. I'm not an attorney, so I don't really want to go deep in that. But it's something that when you're held to that higher standard, if the SEC and FINRA and all these government agencies, I mean, they have auditors that come in and they look at everything and they see what's going on. And we have to make sure that we're upholding those standards, that if we're going to say that we do financial plans, do we have a written financial plan for the client? And then if we've done a written financial plan that says, hey, I've worked with Mike Saunders here based on your information and based everything that we've got in here, let's say, for instance, it came up and you need to be, based on what you've told us and where you want to get to, you want to be in a growth portfolio. That's what's going to hit you and you're okay with that. Then we need to be providing you with that portfolio that matches up with your plan. So there's a lot of different layers that it's not just about, hey, I like XYZ stock today. Let's go ahead and buy it. We think it's a good value. Hey, again, there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. This is just a different process. It's a different procedure and it's a different client experience where we want to understand. And we talked last time how we're kind of the financial doctors, right? We want to understand your past, where you're at and where you want to go. And then that will help us determine, what type of risk tolerance you have and what type of portfolio meets that. And then we kind of meet in the middle because we've had, when we do the plans, we'll have a recommendation, but some clients say, gosh, I'm not comfortable taking that much risk. But at least then, we're doing our jobs. We're making sure that we have that conversation and go, okay, well, here's what you told me based on these facts and based on where you want to go. If you're not willing to, take that much, or expose your in, let's say, growth and income or whatever it may be, let's come up with a plan B together and say, okay, for you to hit your goal, then maybe we have to talk about your spending habits, right? Or maybe we have to talk about, hey, let's put a little bit more away in your 401k, or, if you have a retirement plan, Roth IRA, traditional IRAs, things like that, to help you meet your goals if you're not willing to go with a certain investment objective that we're recommending. And that's just, again, it's just that ebb and flow of being a fiduciary. We need to make sure that we're giving you, the client, the correct information to get you where you want to go. And then when we come up with a plan that, we agree on, taking that next step of, okay, then we have to actually provide that for you, right? It's in writing, you have a plan, and then we provide that for you on that investment objective going forward. And then every single, whatever it may be, at least once a year, sitting down with you and saying, okay, Mike, has anything changed? I actually had a client who won over $1 million playing the penny slots in Nevada, right? Wow. Goofy stuff like that happens, which can change. And you have the other side, maybe you got diagnosed with a certain disease and you're going to need money for that. And that's what we're here for. We want to make sure that we're reaching out to our clients. We're staying up on it, saying, okay, you've had these changes. Okay, how is that going to affect you? And again, adjusting the plan, because the plan is not set in stone. It's going to be malleable with your life and your lifestyle and what happens to you and your family and life. And that's where we're really here to be a partner. And that's why we want to be a partner with your CPAs and your attorneys so that we can all work together no matter what happens and provide that value.
Yeah. I was interviewing someone recently that owns a insurance company, and they do homeowners insurance and car insurance, and they were making an interesting point, and I wonder if this applies to your world, talking about broker versus financial planning advisor. They were saying, a lot of these companies you see on TV they're captured, and they can only offer certain products, and when they work with their clients, that's the only thing they can offer, and that limits what they can do for them. And maybe the clients could benefit from something else, but they are not offered it because that captured agent can only offer certain things. Is that the same concept in the world of financial broker, where maybe they're limited in what they can offer clients and maybe a client would benefit from something else?
Yeah, I think to a certain extent you're right. There are those captured agents where they work for a certain company and this is all they can offer, for sure. But I think, on the broker and the advisory side, a lot of times we can offer the same things. It's just that we've chosen to do a different approach, right? And instead of talking with you for 10 minutes and say, oh, well, based on what you said, I want to recommend X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, next.
Again. Yeah, right. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. That's the way they choose to do business, and that's great. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. We just choose to take a different approach. We want to make sure that we understand our clients. We want to make sure that okay, you've told me this, but now show me your insurance policy, show me what other investments you have out there, and let us put it in written form so that we can truly get a good idea of where you're at. And I go back to the doctor. You're going to go in and do the H&P, the history and physical, but then they're still going to say, okay, well, this is what you've told me in the past, but based on what you've also said, I want to run some tests. Maybe we need to take some blood, maybe we need to do an x-ray. And that's kind of what the financial plan then becomes on our side is, you've told me these things, here's where you're at now, let's actually run some tests. Let's see where you're at. Is your money where it needs to be based on what you've told me? And so it's really just that next step of, before we're going to recommend anything to you, let's make sure and let's actually do the due diligence and maybe go a step further before we actually recommend something. But I think you bring up a great point that sometimes you have captive people, but also sometimes you have people out there that say, well, I do, I do all of these things. I'm a financial planning accountant, or I'm a financial planning insurance agent, and things like that. And it's really difficult. And I think being a fiduciary, we have to do what's in the best interest of our clients. And I also think one of the reasons I like that is because I can't be everything to everybody.
Yeah.
The tax code changes almost every year. It's, depending on what you do, I don't want to give tax advice to people. It's way too hard. And I don't want to be an estate planning attorney, although we do, we know estate planning theories and just like tax-wise, right? We know long-term, short-term capital gains, how we can manipulate it, but we're not going to give tax advice, and we're not going to give the advice like the lawyers are. So we feel as fiduciaries on the investment side and the financial planning side, it's so valuable to have those people who just say, this is what I do. I've got a great CPA. I've got a great, advisor that I work with. And then I've got a great estate planning attorney and then regular attorney that I work with, because they're all experts in what they do. So I know that they're focusing just on their area and they're going to be really good at it.
You know enough about those areas to speak to it and how it impacts the overall financial plan. And then you bring in the experts to the team so that everyone's on the same page, and the end result is that client gets the holistic, full approach. And I would suspect that if that is true, that can only be executed well when you have developed a deep and full relationship with that client to understand what they need in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you have all those experts on your side, investors who take the time to create a financial plan and have the experts around them, they just tend to make more informed decisions, because as we're talking with them, their decisions, they're aligned with these written objectives. And, I guess the lack of a better term, we're just not winging it, right? It's like, okay, I'm going to buy this, sell this because I saw this on TV or whatever. It really, again, allows them to understand why we're doing what we're doing and the informed decisions they can make. And even the informed decisions, on the estate planning side, when we sit down with the attorneys and the CPAs, hey, this is best for your situation. Okay, let's go this way. And then we can make sure that, okay, if you've got a joint account, this is the estate planning that you did, so this needs to be updated, or your beneficiaries need to be updated. And then we can all get on the same plan. And, for generations to come, having that team, I think it's really invaluable.
I would suspect that when you're talking with a client for the first time has talked with or worked with a broker, that even your initial approach and your initial way that you're, asking questions is going to be pretty apparent and a pretty refreshing contrast, even from the get-go, right?
Correct. Yeah. It's interesting because most of the time when we're having our very first meeting, I don't even think the word, investment comes out. Yeah. Because that first meeting, when I talk with my clients or my potential clients, I say to them, look, this is about us getting to know each other if we're a good fit, because this is how we work with our clients. And I put out there, we have a process that we follow with our clients, because I feel that's the best way. We have to do the same thing for everybody, right? You have to make it repeatable to be able to provide that highest level of service. And yeah, that first meeting is, you and I are talking, Mike, we're having almost the same conversation. This is how we work with our clients. We do planning. Here's why we do planning. Here's why we feel it's in your best interest, and just have the back and forth and say, well, what do you think about that? What do you think about this process? What do you think about the investment you have to make? And is this really a good fit between, the two of us, whether it's husband and wife or single person, it doesn't really matter. Or if it's, hey, we're talking about a farm and ranch, retirement plans, things like that. The process is always the same, because the client really has to go, wow, that makes a lot of sense to me. I find value in that. And I understand that, we're going to have to make some investments, but it's for our own good. And we feel there's value there and worth it. So you're exactly right. We don't even talk investments that first meeting. We talk about our process. We talk about getting to know the client and knowing what they can expect from a relationship with us, and then getting their feedback on, how do they value that and how do they see it.
Yeah, I think you said it really well here in wrapping this up, is they feel like they're part of the process because you've understood them by developing that initial questioning process to start that relationship. You're not talking at them, you're talking with them. You're helping them understand, and they feel like they're part of the plan, and they see it, and they see that we're at this step, which leads to that step, which then ultimately goes down here. And then, so now how do we get there? Oh, well, now in our next meeting, maybe we'll talk about some recommendations. But I think that they really appreciate the fact that you're not going right into, let's do all these things. You have to have that diagnosis.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't see how you can put together a long-term portfolio. Again, this is, this isn't trading, right? This isn't, we're going to buy this and flip this and do all this. This is for your long-term, serious retirement money that we want to come up with a plan for and say, hey, this is going to work in conjunction with your attorneys and with your CPAs. And we want to make sure that, essentially this is going to take you through your lifespan, and with the teamwork that we have is going to set you up for, how do I want this to pass on to my kids or my grandkids? What legacy do you want to live? And so, yeah, this is a living, breathing thing from day one. It's never static. It changes all the time with changes in our clients. And yeah, I mean, our clients that have been doing this with us for a long time really see the benefits. And I think they've had a good experience, because we ask them all the time, Rita, what can we do better? What would you like to see? And yeah, it's a great process, and it's something that, being a fiduciary, yeah, we have to do the extra work, but I've seen what that does for the clients, long term. And in my opinion, it's a better experience. It's a better experience for us as well, because we know that we're checking off the boxes for our clients, about estate planning, making sure that, their beneficiaries are updated, and making sure that if they have a complex will and they've never talked to an attorney, hey, let's, that is very important. Let's make sure that we give you some ideas of maybe people to talk to, but just really let them know, if you haven't done this yet, this is why it's important, and vice versa. If people, are an attorney or CPA and they're not working with an advisor and they're a little nervous, hopefully that those people would take that, that same care with their clients and make sure that team gets set up.
100%. Well, Sean, if someone listening to this is interested in comparing how their experience with maybe a broker relationship is compared to what you can offer, wrap us up with what's the best way they can reach out and learn more about you and connect with you.
Absolutely. No, they can reach out to me. My email address is Sean, SEAN, at montanawm.com. The WM stands for Wealth Management. So Sean at montanawm.com. They can reach me. They can reach out by text at 406-205-0844 or 406-450-0507 is my cell. That's usually the easiest to get with me if I'm traveling or something. So yeah, please reach out. Even if you just have questions, concerns, like to learn a little bit more about our process and how it works. We'd love to take the time to visit with you.
Excellent. Well, Sean, thank you so much for coming on today. It was a real pleasure talking with you again.
Same with you, Mike. I appreciate it.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.